Hello and welcome to this session on Azure DevOps Introduction. This session is your starting point for your Azure DevOps journey. I will do the entire series on Azure DevOps where I will cover all the Azure DevOps services and its integration with third-party tools. Azure DevOps is a cloud-based DevOps platform that provides tools for planning, developing, testing, and deploying the applications. The reason for the popularity of Azure DevOps is because it's a cloud-based service and the customers need not to manage the underlying infrastructure for using the cloud-based services for the DevOps practices. The Azure DevOps includes different services like Azure Boards for project portfolio management, Azure Repos for repositories or for version control system, Azure Pipeline for building and releasing the applications, Azure Test Plans for testing, and Azure Artifacts for package management. I will discuss all these components in this series. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon to get the notifications so that you get the updates on all my latest videos. Once again, I welcome to this session on Introduction to Azure DevOps. My name is Navneet Kumar. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and the founder of TrainCrest Technologies. Learning objectives of this session are: what is Azure DevOps, where you will learn the Azure DevOps and the reason why shall we care about the Azure DevOps. Also, I will talk about the key benefits of Azure DevOps, where you will understand that why shall we care about the cloud-based services for DevOps practices. Core services of Azure DevOps, the 5 core services that I named recently. So I will be talking about them in details. Getting started with Azure DevOps, I will be showing you that how to set up the Azure DevOps organization and the integration with Entra ID tenant and your Azure subscriptions for billing purpose. Finally, I will talk about the key concepts and the different terminologies that are used in the Azure DevOps. What is Azure DevOps? So, if I talk about the DevOps in general, so DevOps is the process of collaborating people or the tools for continuous integration and continuous delivery. It is actually the collaboration of the developer and operations team so that we can release the code faster with the agility that is required in any business today. Azure DevOps is a cloud-based platform that provides a comprehensive set of tools for software development teams. It offers a suite of services that can be used to plan, develop, test, and deploy the applications. This cloud-based service reduces the administrative overhead of the organizations or individuals from managing the underlying infrastructure. It is just a matter of few settings that you configure and you are good to go with pay as you go. So it translates your capital expenditure into your operational expenditures, and actually this helps in setting up these settings in a very easy and a less complex manner, and you are good to go to offer the agility to your organization and collaborate your development and the operations team. Not only that, but the security team's integration is also there, that we know as DevSecOps. I will also be discussing about that during this series. So stay tuned to the videos I will be doing over the period of time. If you have not subscribed the channel, do subscribe that so that you do not lose the videos. Coming to the key benefits of Azure DevOps, why shall we care about this service? What problem is solved by this service? Basically, in most of my videos, the primary focus is on why. Why shall we care about it? What problem this service solves? As far as how is concerned, that how to do that, that is a secondary thing, because the things can be implemented in different ways. We can have different graphical management tools, the command line tools, native tools offered by Microsoft or third party, or we can do the management through the APIs or through any programmable codes, or in a programmable manner we can manage the things, we can implement them. So if I talk about the key benefits of Azure DevOps, why shall we care about this service? Number one is collaboration. Why I kept it on number one? Because today we want to collaborate the teams. We want to reduce the gap between the teams in knowledge sharing. So we want cross-functional teams to collaborate together. The developers and operations team must collaborate and must release the code, build and release the code at a faster rate. So collaboration provides a central hub for the teams to collaborate on projects. They can share the codes and track the progress of the project. Number two is version control. Version control is a very important tool or a concept for the software development lifecycle. We use different types of version controls to maintain different versions of the code, and those version control systems have been classified into centralized or distributed version control systems. Centralized is, let's say, team foundation version control system, or distributed version control system we have Git based, or we have Mercurial, Bazaar, we have many more different version control systems available. Well, the version control offers you a repository for managing your code changes. The changes you do to the codes, they have been stored with different versions, so that you can also roll back to the last known good configuration or last known version. So that is why versioning of or version control system implementation is very important in any software development project. Next is continuous integration and continuous delivery that enables automated building, testing, and deploying the applications. When we automate the build process for the applications, whenever the developers work on a new feature and commit the changes, then we want to trigger a pipeline or a workflow to automate the build process rather than relying on it manually. That trigger can be based on the actions you have taken, or based on the schedule. Maybe every week or weekend you want to build the applications, then this is called continuous integration. This process of automating the build process of the applications is known as continuous integration. Whereas we also want to deliver these applications in a automated manner, that we do with the help of continuous delivery. So CI/CD are very common terminologies that we use. Next is agile planning and tracking. Agile is a very important principle or a methodology that is used for the project portfolio management as compared to the waterfall. I will discuss about waterfall approach and agile approach in much more details later during this session. So agile planning and tracking is another advantage where we can track our project's progress. We have agile based tools available that we can use in Azure DevOps, in Azure Boards especially. Next is test. We can do the test planning and management, and this test planning and management facilitates the creation, execution, or tracking of test cases. Finally, the package management, which is used to manage and share the packages and artifacts. These are some of the key benefits of using the Azure DevOps services. As you see that by having all these benefits, we can allow our developers to develop, test, or release the applications in a automated manner. If I talk about the core services of Azure DevOps, these are five services. Number one is Azure Boards. The Azure Boards is used to provide the project portfolio management to monitor the progress of the projects. It uses the planning, tracking, or management of the work items using the Agile methodologies. So we can see the progress of our project using the Azure boards. We can manage our work items. We can automate the process also of managing these work items. We have built-in processes in the Azure DevOps. Further, we can customize them also. So we cannot modify the existing processes or can add additional processes, but based on our requirement, if we need some additional work items to be added, then we can customize these processes. So not the actual processes, we go with the nested processes created and then we modify them. We can do the extension to them. Next is the Azure Repo. This offers the Git or TFVC based repositories, respectively the distributed and centralized. We are giving priority to the Git, which is a distributed version control system, and the distributed is the new centralized today. So we have tons of advantages of distributed version control systems that is why it has been prioritized for the application development projects to keep or to use the distributed version control systems. Next service is Azure Pipeline, which is used to enable the automated building and testing of the applications, which is CI, plus deployment of these applications, that is CD. So Azure Pipeline has the workflow. We create the jobs along with the different tasks in that. Tasks are the executable programs. This automated workflow is designed and developed for building, testing, or releasing the applications. It uses the different connectors to create this automation workflow. We can do the integration with third-party tools and services also using the API connections referred as service connections in Azure DevOps. Later during this course, we will see the integration with third-party tools as well. Finally, we have the Azure test plans for facilitating the creation, execution, and tracking the test cases, and the Azure artifact for package management that we can use to manage and share the packages and the artifacts. We can use it to create the private or public feeds. As far as we discuss about getting started with Azure DevOps, so the process of getting starting with Azure DevOps starts with creating the Azure DevOps organization. Azure DevOps organization is used to organize all the projects of a particular organization. Inside this organization, we create the projects. Inside these projects, we add the team members that have been assigned the necessary access or collaboration rights. These team members collaborate and work in a project. We configure the repositories that are used to build the applications or release the applications. We use work items in the Azure boards where we monitor the progress of the project, that what tasks are done, or what tasks are pending, what is the progress of the project. So it is used for that visualization. We set up the pipeline for the automated workflow to build, test, and deploy the applications. Well, if I take you through the demonstration on setting up the organization, so I'm in the Azure portal. I can look for the Azure DevOps organization in the free search. I can type that, or I can open a new tab and I can go with aex.dev.azure.com, which is the portal for Azure DevOps. Or else I can go with Azure DevOps organization. Just search for that in the free search. There is a service where from you can manage all the organizations of your company. Here you see that this is my information. I'm being redirected to my account where from I can create the organization. That is the same thing that you are going to launch from the Azure portal. When you look for the Azure DevOps organizations, there is an option for my Azure DevOps organization. In fact, this link will also take you to that same aex.dev.azure.com portal. So this is the Azure DevOps portal where from you set up your first organization. You will notice that this is my Microsoft account that I'm logging in with. To work with Azure DevOps, you can use three different types of accounts, be it your personal Microsoft account, or if you work for a company and you have a work account in Entra ID tenant of Microsoft. So you can use that work account. That will give you the single sign-on. Like you access other cloud services using your work account, the same way you can use the Azure DevOps services using that work account. And the third type of account that is supported is the GitHub account. So you can authenticate with your GitHub account and use that. These are some of my organizations that I also can use. This is my personal Microsoft account and some details of it. I will click create a new organization and I can continue to create an organization on dev.azure.com, and then I have to provide a unique name over here to make this organization. For an instance, I work for a company that is Contoso, and I create this organization, Contoso organization for training. Then this is the location where I want to host the projects. I will provide this CAPTCHA. Ensure this name is unique. If this is not unique, then you will be getting the warning that this is not a unique name on the dev.azure.com domain. So you need to change that. You can switch to the directory to a different directory anytime. Now, as soon as I create this organization, the very first thing I need to do is in this organization, I need to create a project. This project I will name, let's say demo. Whether this project is going to be public or private, I will decide the visibility of this project. Then I have the organization policies that I can set for this. And finally, I will click create the project. Once this project is created, you will see the project under the organization, and you will see 5 services that I talked about of Azure DevOps, including the Azure Boards for project management, for repos, for the repository for the version control systems, then pipeline for building and releasing the applications, test plans, and then the artifacts. If you want to do the project settings, you can do it from here, or if you want to do the organization settings, then you can do them from here. First of all, let me take you back to the organization on that dev.azure.com and then my organization name is the URL of this. That is why it was looking for a unique name on this domain. Now this is my project, but I want to first set up my organization. In that, what I do is I go to the organization settings, and It launches the organization settings where I can see the name of the organization, the URL for this organization. I can define the privacy URL, the description for this, for demo only, what time zone you want to use, that you can define, and you can save it. This location for this organization is South India. This is my nearby region. Here I see the organization usage limit. Currently I have one project out of 1000 projects that I can have here. Work item tags, I don't have any tags for the work items. I can change the ownership of this organization, and finally if I want, I can delete this organization. If I look into the projects, it shows you the all projects under the organization, and I can work with these projects. I can see that what process has been used over here in this project. I can create a new project from here. You see this ellipsis button over here where from you can rename or delete this project. So this management of the projects also is possible from here under the organization. If I look into the users, so there will be one user that I have right now, which is my Microsoft account, as you see in this organization. And to add more users, I can go to this add users over here, and I can define the rules, any group rules on this. Basically, when we work in the enterprises or corporate networks, so we already have the Microsoft Entra tenant, and we integrate that Microsoft Entra tenant with the DevOps organization. It helps in benefiting the single sign-on for the users. Users can use their work or school accounts to access the Azure DevOps projects. I can delegate them the access. For this, I have to connect the Microsoft Entra ID with the Azure DevOps organization. For this, I click on Connect Directory and I choose the directory from here. So there I have multiple directories. Basically, in this case, I will pick a directory. It shows me that, okay, this is the directory and this is the tenant ID. Just to ensure that I'm connecting to the correct directory, I just check the tenant ID. 59D is at the end. So if I look for the Azure Active Directory or Entra ID, today we call it. If I look for that, what is the tenant ID of my Entra ID that I want to associate with it is ending with 59D. So that is the correct directory I'm going to associate it with. And I will click on connect button. Now connect is done, and now I will sign out. Many people face a problem here when they connect the organization to their Entra ID, to their Azure AD tenant or Entra tenant. Then they lose access or they miss this organization. This organization is somewhere lost. They are not able to find it. For instance, I log in with my Microsoft account, and then I log in with my account, okay, over here. This is my personal Microsoft account, same Microsoft account I'm logging in with. But this might be possible that, okay, you don't see the organization sometimes because the directory that you have switched to is a different directory, because your account may be a member of multiple directories. And if that is the case, especially in such cases, you may lose access to your, or you may not access, basically you will not lose the access, but you will somewhere misplace this organization. You may not find it. And as I'm trying to logging in to this DevOps organization, so this is somewhere because of the caching, and what I have done is I did sign out. So this is another challenge that you might face, because ideally when you sign out from any account, so it is advised that you close all the windows. Okay, so for an instance, this window I will close, and on my on my Chrome browser, I have a setting configured that I have done to clean the cache or the cookies of this account. Well, I will launch a new window and I will go to this aex.dev.azure.com. If I want, I can go with slash and then I can put the name of my organization as well. that contours organization for training that I created. So I can give directly that name, or I can go to the portal and I will log in with the account. It's a new window this time. So sometimes because of the browser's cache, it will keep running in the loop and can result into the frustration that, okay, why am I not able to log in? So basically the problem that I have done is that I did not close the window. I did not close that browser, right? So it is advised to close all the windows once you do the sign out and then you sign in from scratch. Well, now you see that create a new organization option comes once again, and I do not see my organization that I created. So basically the problem here is that I'm on my Microsoft account, but the organization I associated with is on the default directory. So I need to look for that directory. You see, in my case, I have multiple directories over here. User is the member of multiple directories. I signed up for many directories for training purpose or for many reasons. So sometimes you may get distracted from there. Okay, that, oh, where my organization is, as soon as I associate it with the Entra tenant. And there you go. You got that organization back. Not only that, but if I had any previous organization, so that is also listed over here, and I'm the owner in that organization as well. Well, I will click that organization to switch to that organization on that tenant. So it was just because of that directory that I was on a wrong directory. That is why I could not find my organization. I mean, I was on my Microsoft account, but the organization has been associated with Entra ID. Well, this is again the thing that when I switched my account to a different directory, this default directory. So the problem comes up again that when I'm trying to logging in, so you can try logging in with your account, or what I can do is I can close the window and I can relaunch this to access the organization. Well, I did it once again, and then again, hang on a moment while we sign you out, and this keeps running in the loop, and then I'm being redirected back to this. So I will be closing this window once again and will relaunch that. It's a very good troubleshooting tip for you also when you will be working with these organizations and you face this kind of problem. So axdev.azure.com, and then this is my account, and this is the password I provide, and I say yes, and I'm logged into the DevOps portal. This is my Microsoft account. I switch to the default directory. The best thing that you can do is you can take this URL and you can open this URL. Okay, so this is the copy link address, or you can simply copy that as well, dev.azure.com/your organization, and you can launch it in incognito window as well, or a new window you launch and then you access your organization directly. It will pop up for the authentication, of course, because the organization you will be accessing it with what account, so you need to be having a legitimate account for that. I will authenticate with my Microsoft account, with which I have the ownership rights on that, and then I will say stay signed in. Well, finally, I'm into the organization, and this is my project. There are two organizations I see here. I will go back to the organization settings and I'll show you that this organization has been associated with the Microsoft Entra tenant. If I access that Azure portal and show you that Entra tenant and its users, so you can onboard those users to the Azure DevOps organization now. So I access the Azure portal. I take you to the Microsoft Entra ID to show you some of the identities over here. So now I can use the service principals or the users or the groups or the devices, I mean all the identities that I have over here in this Entra ID, I can use them in my DevOps organization to delegate them the access. You will notice that I have few users, say the user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, Aiden, Norman. So I can now add these users to the projects. I can go to my projects in the DevOps organization. Suppose this demo project, and under the project we have project settings, and in that project settings I can create the teams for these projects that people will be working in that project. So I will go to the teams, and there is one team which is by default their demo team, and Navneet Chauhan is the owner of that. But if I want to make a new team, then I can create a team, or I can add the members to that existing one. This is going to be the demo team, and in that team I want to add some members. You can start typing those users. They will come up over here with their UPN. So you can either choose an individual user, or if you have any group, for an instance I have this IT group, so I can add that group over here. Administrator will be this user, anyone you want to make admin of this, and permissions, so you will be providing the contributors role. Okay, now I will click create, and if you want, you can change the permissions. You can change the administrator who will be the admin for this team, and this is how your identities from the Entra ID is onboarded to the project for the collaboration purpose, and you can start creating your teams based on the people having their roles. You create these teams over here. Let me go back to the organization settings and show you the billing for this organization. When you are into this general tab, right below that user you see billing, where from you can set up the billing for your DevOps organization by associating an Azure account, Azure subscription, which is your pay as you go or paid or trial subscription you may have that you need. So you can set up for billing. Now this subscription is associated on the same tenant where my organization is associated now. So I will see all the available subscriptions. If I go to my Azure portal and I show you the subscriptions available on this tenant, I think I have an active subscription. So this is the one, and it is ending with A61. So I will see that subscription here. That is this one, A61, Azure Pass sponsorship subscription I have right now here. It's checking that whether this subscription is a valid subscription that can be associated with this DevOps organization for billing purpose. So this is how I have added this subscription with my organization for billing. Now I can configure the services, that what services I need. Maybe I need MS hosted CI/CD. I need self-hosted CI/CD. Parallelism I need parallel jobs that I need, so that I can configure as well. I want the users to work with settings, advanced securities, artifacts size. I need more than 2 gig. Up to 2 gig is free for the artifacts. So I can define the configuration, and I can configure the user billing or change the billing. So the options are available here, and finally I can click on save. I have taken one pipeline for the private projects to build or test or release my applications. So one is for Microsoft hosted agent and one for the self-hosted agent. I will talk about them in much more details, that what is Microsoft hosted agent or what is a self-hosted agent for your automation workflows or pipelines to run. Well, this is how you can set up the billing for your organization, and then you can set up the global notifications, that who will receive notification on what conditions. So there are lots of options here, self-explanatory. On pull request reviewers added or removed, so that you can configure over here pull request completion failures. These things you can add over here. You can check the usage metrics of your organization, that you can see over here, and then the extensions. Extensions are additional tools that you can add to it. You can go to the marketplace, which is actually the Visual Studio Marketplace. So it will take you to the Visual Studio Marketplace, where from you can add additional tools. So for an instance, I want to use Jira for Azure DevOps. This tool is free. So I can click on that and I can add the tool to my DevOps organization. So I can click on get started over here, and then I can whatever it is required, the configuration, then I can complete that configuration. For an instance, to keep it short and simple for you, I use a tool, let's say a third-party tool, Manbolt, to do the scanning of the open source libraries. So I search for Manbolt and then I add that. So this is get it free button available. It will not require much configuration, so it will be integrated easily with the Azure DevOps organization and can be used for open source libraries scanning. So this is the explanation of that it is a free extension which scans the open source libraries for any sort of licensing or vulnerabilities in the open source projects. Then I will install this extension to my organization. For an instance, you want to integrate it with any other things. For an instance, you want to use Jenkins, you want to use some other third-party tools, you can add them. Now you can go back to the organization from here, proceed to organization, or I can go back here and I can check for the extensions. Now I will see that in this organization, one extension, which is Manbolt, has been added. It was formerly known as White Source Bolt. This is an add-on, the extension or a plugin that you have added to integrate with open source tools. So we have a very big marketplace for the third-party tools for DevOps. DevOps is actually the collaboration of people and processes, and there are tools, thousands of tools available for different jobs that have been developed for automation purpose, for automating this build process of applications or releasing of the applications. Well, this is how we set up our Azure DevOps organization and the project to get started with the Azure DevOps. Our next job is when we have the project set up, then we work with the Azure Boards. We can define the work items, whatever the work items we require. So we start working with that. In this project, you may have noticed that if I take you to the organization, the project was, if I take you to the organization settings, so the process management for these work items that was used in this project was basic. Here you see this was basic. If I create a project, so I have advanced options to choose from, that what work item process I need: basic, Agile, CMMI, or Scrum. Microsoft Azure Boards has the customized methodologies based on Agile over here, these process management that Microsoft has created. So this is a customized flavor of these Agile principles, Agile methodologies. For an instance, I create a demo 2 project, and this time I want to go with the CMMI or maybe Scrum. So I can choose that. The version control also I can decide, like I want to go with Git, which is distributed version control system. So I have used that. And now if I go to this demo 2, so I have used this Scrum. Now the question is that can I modify these processes that Microsoft has provided me, that I saw while creating those projects? Answer is no, you cannot modify those processes. But what you can do is you can create the nested processes, and under those processes, for instance, this is Scrum process, so you can create another process which is known as a nested process, and then you can do the modifications. For an instance, the Scrum comes with bug, epics. These are the work item types available in it: features, impediment, product backlogs, tasks, test cases, test plans, test suits that we have available in this. So these are the processes, these are the backlog levels available in it, and these are the projects with this process that have been used. Now you will see on top there is an option to create an inherited process, the nested process. So based on this Scrum, I want to create a nested one. So under the Scrum, I create, let's say, Scrum 2, or based on my organization's requirement, I can name it. So Scrum or Contoso Scrum. Okay, so this is Contoso Scrum process. Then when I do this, I provide the description, okay, for demo only, and then I create the process. This is the inherited process this time, and you have the option to add a new work item type as well. So you're not limited to use these work items. You can create a new work item for your requirement, for testing purpose, for test. It can be anything. Bug is already there, okay, epic I have already there. Whatever the terminologies in project management we use, so that we can use them over here. And then the icon that I want to assign, so I can use an image over here, icon color that I need for that, so I can choose that accordingly. For an instance, this one, and then I can click create. So a new work item will be added into this process, that is Scrum, Contoso Scrum I created, and this is test, right? So this is how you can create the customized processes for your organization, for your projects. Well, this is the setup for the DevOps organizations that we have done so far. Coming back to the getting started with DevOps, we have created organization, we have created the project, we have added team members, we have configured the repository, whether we want to go with Git or TFVC. TFVC was not listed there due to the policy that was configured there, so you need to enable that setting. Create work items, you can create the work items, and setting up the pipeline. I will talk about the pipelines later, where we can use these pipelines to automate build, test, or deployment processes. Otherwise the video will be quite long. I want to keep it precise and to the point. Key concepts and terminologies. In Azure DevOps, we have different terminologies that we use. Very often you will hear about Git, which is a distributed version control system and a very popular version control system that is developed over C language. Okay, and it is actually used for maintaining the versions of your code, and it is distributed by nature. Microsoft's GitHub implementation is also a GitHub or Git based version control system the GitHub uses. So GitHub is, many times people have misunderstanding between Git and GitHub. So Git is a version control system mechanism, whereas GitHub is a feed for the repository, public repositories or the private repositories. We can create our projects there and store them. Whereas this GitHub uses a version control mechanism that is Git based. So that is the version control system. Then we have TFVC, the Team Foundation Version Control System, which is a centralized version control system. I will do a detailed video on the Git and TFVC, on centralized and distributed version control systems. Then we have work items, the tasks, bugs, user stories. We create different types of work items. One I created just for testing purpose, test. You can create any work item for your requirement. So these can be user stories, those can be the test plans that you are creating for the projects, the testings you will be doing, or any hypothesis that you are testing. So you can create the work items on those names. We have backlogs, which lists of the work items prioritized for the development. They are in the backlog, so they need to be given priority now. We have sprints, so rather than deploying the project or delivering the project, entire project in once, we deliver it in several parts. We do the iterations. These are time bound, or we call them time boxed iterations for the development. So we put a deadline that, okay, this sort of deadline will ensure that we have this much of work done in this project. So we create multiple small sprints. As the name suggests, it's in a sprint, okay, not a marathon. So we will be defining small goals, the short-term goals, and we will define that, okay, by this date, by this and time, by this deadline, we will be completing this work. So that is what sprint defines. Then we have pipelines. Pipelines are actually the automation workflows that we create, including the jobs and tasks which we use with different softwares or programs, executables. So we execute them. So that is the workflow to automate the CI and CD process. We have artifacts, which are actually the libraries or the deployable codes, you can say. When you build your application, you package it so that it can be shared with the developers within your organization, or maybe outside organizations you need public feed to create. Then you call it an artifact. If you want to understand any terminology and you have any inputs that you want to add on to this tutorial, then I welcome your inputs. I hope this tutorial was informative to you. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you.